What if everything you thought you knew about yourself was just a story you've been telling yourself? There's a moment, a crack in the matrix of your daily existence, where something shifts. You feel it in your bones, like you've been sleepwalking through your own life, and suddenly you're gasping for air, waking up to a reality you never knew existed. This is spiritual awakening. But here's what nobody tells you. It's not some linear ladder you climb. It's not step 1, step 2, step 3, and boom, enlightenment. No, it's more like a spiral carved into your DNA. Some people loop back, others leap forward. Some get stuck in one stage for years, while others ricochet through all 5 in a single devastating month. Your journey is yours alone, but the stages, they're universal. They're the hidden architecture beneath every awakening that's ever happened. And today we're breaking down the 5 stages of spiritual awakening, not the sanitized Instagram quote version, the raw, unfiltered truth. And by the end, you'll know exactly which stage you're in right now and what's coming next. Let's dive in. Picture this. You're living your life, but you're not really there. You're on autopilot. Thoughts happen to you. Emotions crash over you like waves, and you're just swept along. You don't choose your reactions, they choose you. This is the sleepwalker stage. You believe you are your thoughts. You believe you are your emotions. When anxiety shows up, you don't observe it, you become it. When anger rises, it doesn't pass through you, it is you. There's no separation, no space, no awareness that you're anything beyond the voice in your head. The ego, it's running the show, and you don't even know there's a stage. In this phase, life feels like it's happening to you, not through you. You react instead of respond. You defend instead of reflect. Everything feels out of your control because in a sense it is. You're living from a script written by past wounds, societal programming and inherited beliefs you never questioned. You take everything personally, because in this stage, everything is personal. Your identity is fused with your story, your gender, your age, your job title, your political beliefs, your trauma. You can't see where you end, and the story begins. And here's the hardest part. You can't really see other people either. You see them through the filter of your own pain, your own projections, your own unhealed wounds. You're looking at the world through a cracked lens, and you think the cracks are reality. Most people live their entire lives in this stage, not because they're broken, not because they're failing, but because they don't know there's another way. The sleepwalker stage isn't wrong. It's just unconscious. And the spiritual journey begins the moment you realize you've been asleep. That realization, it's about to shatter everything. Then it happens. The breakdown, the collapse. The moment your carefully constructed identity cracks wide open and everything you thought you were dissolves. Welcome to ego death. This isn't a gentle awakening. This is a demolition. Everything you built your sense of self around, your beliefs, your roles, your labels, your certainties, starts crumbling like sandcastles in a storm. You realize, I am not my thoughts. You realize, I am not my emotions. You realize, the story I've been telling myself about who I am is just that, a story. And when that story collapses, there's a void, an emptiness, a terrifying, liberating space where your old identity used to be. All those concepts you held tight about God, about life, about success, about right and wrong, they get wiped clean, not because you reject them, but because the grip loosens, the attachment dissolves, and suddenly you're floating in this vast, undefined space of not knowing. It's disorienting. It can feel like death, because in a way it is. The old you is dying. But here's the magic. As the ego dissolves, something else emerges. Something that was always there, just hidden beneath the noise. The observer. For the first time, you notice there's a part of you that's been watching this whole time. A part that doesn't get swept up in the drama. A part that doesn't identify with the thoughts or feelings. It just witnesses them. You are not the actor. You are the audience. You are not the storm. You are the sky holding it. This stage can feel like freefall, like you're losing your mind. But you're not. You're losing your ego's mind. And that's exactly what needs to happen. Because on the other side of this shattering, there's clarity, space, freedom, and a burning question. If I'm not who I thought I was, then who am I? That question pulls you into the next stage. Now you're hungry, not for food, not for success, for truth, for answers, for some framework that can help you make sense of this new reality you've stumbled into. You become the seeker. You devour spiritual books. You binge YouTube videos on consciousness, awakening, enlightenment. You find teachers, some real, some charlatans, and you absorb everything they say like a sponge. You're asking the big questions now. Who am I really? Why was I born? What is the meaning of life? What is God? This isn't intellectual curiosity. This is soul-level desperation. You need to understand. You need a map for this new terrain you're navigating. So you dive into meditation. You experiment with prayer, contemplation, journaling, breathwork, maybe even plant medicine. You're testing keys, looking for the one that unlocks the door to deeper truth. And here's what's beautiful. Every piece you find, every insight, every teaching that resonates, brings a sense of lightness, like you're remembering something you forgot, like you're coming home to yourself, one breadcrumb at a time. You feel connected, awake, alive in a way you never were before. But there's a trap in this stage. Some seekers get stuck here. They become spiritual consumers, always searching, never landing, always learning, never integrating. They collect teachings like trophies, but never embody them. They know the philosophy, but don't live the practice. The seeker stage is necessary. It's where you build your foundation, but it's not the destination, because eventually all that seeking has to turn inward. All those teachings have to be lived. All those truths have to be embodied. And when that happens, you stop searching for yourself, and you start being yourself. This is where the mask comes off. You can't pretend anymore. You can't fake it. You can't mold yourself into what others expect, what society demands, what your family wants you to be. It physically hurts to be anything other than who you really are. Welcome to the emergence of the authentic self. This stage is a homecoming. You're rediscovering the person you were before the world told you who to be, before the conditioning, before the trauma, before the shame and the fear and the desperate need for approval. You start to feel like yourself again, not the polished, acceptable version, the real version, the version that existed when you were 5 years old, before you learned to dim your light. And here's what happens. Everything that's out of alignment starts to scream. That job that never felt right. You can't stay there anymore. That relationship built on pretense. It starts to crumble. That version of yourself you've been performing for others, it suffocates you. You're done compromising, done silencing yourself, done shrinking to fit into spaces that were never meant for you. So you make moves, big ones. You quit the job. You leave the relationship. You set boundaries. You speak your truth, even when your voice shakes. And it's terrifying, because this often looks like chaos from the outside. People don't understand. They say you're going through a phase, having a crisis, losing your mind, but you're not losing your mind, you're finding your soul. This stage is also a purge. Old wounds resurface, not to torture you, but to be released. Emotional baggage you've been carrying for decades finally gets unpacked. You cry more, you feel more. You grieve the old versions of yourself that have to die so the real you can live. Your body might go through changes too. You become more sensitive, more intuitive. You have vivid dreams, strange synchronicities, moments where reality feels thinner, like you're tapping into something beyond the physical. This is ascension. This is alchemy. This is you becoming you. And once you've shed the old skin, once you've claimed your authentic self, you're ready for the final stage. This is it. The stage where everything clicks. You're no longer searching. You're no longer becoming. You're being. Living in alignment means your inner world and outer world finally match. Your soul, your mind, your body, they're all moving in the same direction. There's no internal war, no self-betrayal, no cognitive dissonance. You know yourself, deeply, fully, and you've made peace with all of it. The light and the shadow, the strengths and the limitations, the beauty and the mess. You practice radical self-compassion. You forgive yourself for being human. You stop holding yourself to impossible standards and start holding yourself with kindness instead. And here's the ripple effect. When you align with yourself, you naturally extend that compassion to others. You stop judging people for being where they are. You recognize that everyone is doing the best they can with the awareness they have. You see their wounds, their fears, their unconscious patterns, and instead of criticizing, you understand. You become the nurturer you needed when you were younger. You parent yourself with unconditional love, and that love, it overflows into every relationship, every interaction, every moment. But it doesn't stop with people. You start feeling connected to everything. The trees, the animals, the earth beneath your feet, the air you breathe. Even the objects around you seem alive with energy. You realize we're all part of the same web, the same consciousness, the same source. This isn't a concept anymore. It's your lived reality. And yes, you also see the darkness, the suffering, the pain in the world. But you don't turn away from it. You hold it with compassion. You understand that the shadow is part of the whole, and the whole is still sacred. Living in alignment doesn't mean you're perfect. It means you're integrated. It means you're awake, aware, and actively co-creating your reality instead of reacting to it. You're no longer a sleepwalker. You're no longer shattered. You're no longer searching. You're home. So, which stage are you in? Maybe you recognized yourself in one. Maybe you've cycled through all five. Maybe you're somewhere in between, caught in the spiral, wondering when the clarity will come. Here's the truth. Wherever you are is exactly where you need to be. This isn't a race. There's no finish line. There's no badge of honor for getting there faster. But if you're still here watching this video, still resonating, you're not ordinary. You're not just passing through life on autopilot. You're awake, or at least, you're waking up, and that changes everything. But for now, drop a comment. Tell me which stage you're in. Tell me what resonated. Share your story, because your experience might be exactly what someone else needs to hear. And if this hits you, like, subscribe to the channel and share it. Send it to that friend who's going through it right now. The one who feels like they're losing their mind but is actually finding their soul. Until next time, stay awake, stay curious, and remember, you're exactly where you need to be.